G'day legends, I'm Brenno, and that there in the background is my 2013 Space Cab DMAX. Now I've seen a couple of requests in the comments for a bit more of a look at what I've done to the ute, so I figured it was the perfect opportunity to take you for a walkthrough and show you things like the 12-volt system, the storage setup, the suspension, the wheels and tyres. Let's have a look. So I've added it up in my head, and I've had over 20 four-wheel drives over the years, and this right here is definitely my latest one. It's a couple of years old. This was a 2013, I bought it last year, so it was 6 years old. Had about 130,000 kilometers on it, and a few of those more expensive mods had already been done, that bull bar and the lift and all those kind of things. And I reckon that's the perfect way to buy a second-hand four-wheel drive. That way I can get straight into doing the things to customize it for my own needs. So suspension and tyres. So it's running a basic 2-inch lift and a set of 265, 75, 16 or 31-inch tyres. Good thing about keeping to relatively small tyres with a four-wheel drive like this that you go and doing a lot of camping and touring in is that it doesn't too badly affect your fuel economy. I do a heap of Ks in this thing. Last year I did 40,000 kilometres and I average about 11.5 to 12 litres of the 100 Ks combined. Now it's had a tune, it's running about 30 extra horsepower and about 70 Newton meters of extra torque. It's not massive, but you definitely notice if you sink your boot in, the thing plumes black smoke out the back. But the cool thing about it is, if you're pretty moderate on the throttle, if you just drive it pretty sedately, sit on the cruise control out on the highway, 110 Ks an hour, this thing actually records excellent fuel economy. Compared to the silver DMAX we got at work, it's probably only doing about a litre to the 100 Ks more, but this thing has probably got another 500-600 kilos of weight on it, so I reckon that's a bit of a win. And if there's one lesson I've definitely learned over the years, it's that you need one of those things on your vehicle. A winch is such a good investment. Here's the funny thing about diff locks. They are awesome, there is no doubting it. But a diff lock can get you into way more strife than it can get you out of. Because when you get stuck with a diff lock in with all those wheels turning at the same time, you are seriously stuck. My theory is, put a winch on the front of your four-wheel drive. That way, if you do lose a bit of momentum, you know to stop straight away, reassess the situation, get the winch out. 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be one of those epic 4-hour recoveries. So the winch is one of the Dominator Extreme 7.2 horsepowers, and I'm also running a set of the new Adventure Kings Dominator Extreme 9-inch LED spotlights. These things are blisteringly bright. So it's pretty obvious the ute hasn't been built for the biggest, toughest tracks out there. Now it's not bad at those things with the winch and the tyres, but this thing has been built to go camping. So let's talk Canopy first. Paid about $3 grand for it. It came powder coated, a couple little cracks here and there, but overall it's got some good bracing underneath it that goes all the way down through to the floor. Perfect for the rooftop tent. I chucked it on in the shed at work, and I think I've probably spent just about every weekend over the last 12 months or so constantly changing the setup. So this side, call it the living room. This is where you camp out under. You've got the awning happening over this side. 90-litre fridge on the 100-litre fridge slide. And the crazy thing about fridges is they don't really start to suck too much more power comparatively the bigger that you get. So my theory with fridges is, if you can fit it in the back of your four-wheel drive, definitely go for a bigger one. And what I've done with the fridge slide and these drawers as well, is I've had to space them up to clear this lip here. Pretty easy, just got some 50 by 100 mil steel, some RHS. So for drawers, well, pretty obvious, 3 Titan drawers, and I reckon it's a cracking setup. What I like about this setup that I've customized, I've actually taken the fridge slide off, removed the carpet off the top of it and replaced it with some gal steel. Now, I just bolted a little gas burner on top of it, and you've got a cool little pull-out barbecue. Connect it to the gas bottle and you're ready to go. And now to the other side of the canopy. It uses all of our King's gear. Got everything from the 12-volt control box with the DC charger, the inverter, the battery in the battery box. I've just got a bit of 17mm ply with a bit of marine carpet that I made the headboard up with, and that way it's super easy to install everything and to keep it neat. And the cool part about all this stuff is you can do it yourself if you're willing to have a little bit of a go. If you want some good in-depth information, my mate Khan has done some cracking 12-volt videos that go through every single part of this setup here. Click that link in the top right corner and it'll take you straight to that video. The cool part about this setup is that it runs the fridge permanently. This whole setup there will keep the battery charged, and it does it a couple of ways. First of all, you've got the DC charger, so I'm charging it as I'm driving. And the cool thing about those DC chargers is they hammer heaps of juice into the battery. So even if you're driving short distances, your battery's still getting nice and full. If I'm parked up at home for a little while, well, I've got the 110 watt semi-flexible solar panel on the roof. That way you're getting solar charging to the battery as well. So with 240 volt chargers as part of a 12 volt system, I really learned the value of them a couple of years ago. When you're doing bigger trips, if you're going to the Cape or crossing the Simo, that sort of stuff, If you get to a part in your trip where you're not doing heaps of driving, you might be camped somewhere for a couple of days at a time, it's pretty easy to let your batteries get down low, even if you've got solar. There's nothing better after a couple of days of camping with a bit of a flat battery than being able to pull into a caravan park, have a nice hot shower, pay for a powered site for the night. You plug your 240 volt charger in, and then overnight your battery's back up to 100%. It's great when you're at home as well, because as I was saying before, if you get that bit of rainy weather at home, haven't done a lot of driving, haven't been out anywhere, well, you just run the extension cord down the driveway, plug the unit in overnight, and the next morning the battery is charged again. So the one thing I haven't quite got sorted yet, and I'd actually like your opinion on it, so please drop me a comment below, is water storage. At the moment, I'm just lugging around jerry cans of water, and it's okay, it's a good, basic, simple setup, but I do want to put a water tank underneath. Now, in a previous ute, I had a pretty well set up D22 Navara. I put a couple of jerry cans in the back, and I run it through a 12 volt pump, but I still reckon there's some better ways to do it. I'm starting to look at caravan water tanks to put underneath, but I'd love to hear your thoughts, so please let me know what you think. So when I get bored, I modify my ute a little bit more. One of the latest things I've done is right down here in the dog box. I've hard mounted DMAX air compressor up in there. It's hardwired, it's all run through a nice big circuit breaker up into the battery there. What's cool about that is when you go on four-wheel drive, at the end of the day, you don't even have to pull the air compressor out the back of the four-wheel drive, especially if it's buried in the back of the four-wheel drive. It's there, ready to go, literally at the flick of a switch. Pretty cool setup. So, camping accommodation, well, that up the top there is a Grand Tourer Mark II rooftop tent. I love that thing. It is so quick to set up. I hate setting up and packing up stuff that takes forever to do. There is nothing worse to me, especially when all you want to do is sit down, have a nice cold beer and get the fire going. It's got the king wing, wraparound awning. That's awesome as well. It's great, especially when the weather's not fantastic, because you've got that area over there that you can cook under. Then there's this whole other area at the back that you can live under. So it's all mounted to a steel flat rack. I had to make some custom mounts up. They're just made out of box sections, about 100 mils long or so. I had to raise it up just so I could mount the king wing on the side of the rooftop tent and still be able to open the canopy door. So it's always that juggling act, just trying to make things fit. And that right there is why I've always wanted a space cab, why I'm stoked I bought a space cab. Those suicide doors are awesome. Just need enough room for little Buffett in the back here and his little brother as well. Made a nice little basic platform up just out of plywood and marine carpet, just so they got somewhere flat to sit. And this right here earned me so many brownie points with the missus. It's probably the cheapest modification I've done to the whole ute. Just an old ratchet strap I've tied between the grab handles. It just lets you hang clothes up. Well, there you go, a bit of a walk through my ute, and I hope you took a couple of ideas away from that. And if you did, let me know in the comments. Hope that ute proves that you don't need to spend $1 million to have a four-wheel drive that'll do just about anything. That thing's ready to go across Australia. And before I go, just a quick reminder, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell as well, because we are cranking this channel full of cracking videos. I want to make sure that you see them all. Catch you next time.